frequency of 52 megacycles by authority of the Federal Communications Commission. A test program follows. For you who've been trained technically, I need hardly say that there's still a number of problems to solve. I guess you know them as well as anybody knows them. But I think we've proceeded far enough to justify the statement, at least, that these technical problems are not insurmountable.
Okay, well, here's this week's featured game.
AC regulars and Starship looters.
That was it, yeah. And we're out.
Hello, I am Karen from the Final Swindle, and I am joined by
Woody, also from Final Swindle.
And we have a really nice matchup between the AC regulars and the Starship looters. This is a 60 SAS cap event.
58, I think, right?
Sorry?
Is it 58 SAS or? Oh, no, this is 60.
This is
technically.
Oh yeah, this is 62. Sorry, this is the 62 SAS cap event. Thank you for catching me on that. But either way, we have two decks floating around 60 here. I'll let Woody start us off with the Starship looters captain deck.
Sure. So this is Igor something in French. Now, Igor is an interesting little deck here. I think I'm going to start with Brobnar because I think that actually kind of contains its sort of win condition with the triple loot the bodies. And in this matchup, I think we'll get to that more specifically, but just the deck itself, I think is going to want to build its lines so that it can do a big follow the leader, loot the bodies play. And it doesn't have a ton of creatures in Brobnar. Like you see, it's got double gauntlet of command. And obviously the triple loot the bodies are going to like take up a lot of space in the deck, but like Earthshaker, which is actually really, really nice for this matchup. And Fire Spirit and Smash. So it's got a fair amount of effective power. And I'm going to move actually to Untamed because that's where we get sort of the rest of its effective power with the Niffle Queen with 2 Niffle Apes, Snufflegator, double Halicore, that kind of thing, Ancient Bear, Big Twig. I mean, to me, that's just like, it just builds this massive line and does a massive loot the bodies play and is just like trimming its opponent's line. But it needs a deck to play with, right? It needs a deck with a lot of effective power itself and a lot of creatures. Also an Untamed, double Ritual of Balance, which is kind of nice. If your opponent needs to basically get to 8 if they want to, not get all that Amber Salon kind of. But also when you go above 6, you're just asking for them to take it from you essentially. Mimicry and Nocturnal Maneuver, just obviously great cards in Untamed. And we can talk about Mimicry targets when we move to your deck. The Shadows is interesting. It does a fair amount of stealing with double Urchin, Bait and Switch, Nerve Blast, which again is like, if your opponent's checking in a ton, it seems like this deck is going to have answers with all of the stealing, which I think it'll need because it's relatively low expected. Yeah, those are the big things I'm seeing. Again, I think the win condition's kind of wrapped up in the triple loot the bodies because that's how it's going to need to make its Amber. And then the rest is like kind of defense with stealing.
Sure. So it's kind of a set up the big play and then cash in kind of deck, right?
Yeah.
That's super interesting. I'm trying to think of anything to kind of add on it to cover. You play them, but double routine job means you have 2 more steal cards. You've got a life for a life also with your Brens. So just another way to cash them in. Shadows is just an unbelievably high synergy, other than the Umbra, which we can forget for the time being. The Night Forge is also online there due to the steal, like potential of steal 6 in a turn. It is not out of the question to be able to win a game with that Night Forge. In the Dis, we've got double Exhume with that double brand. I cannot believe this deck is only 61 SAS. Looking at that, just the ability to recycle and steal over and over again. One thing that really interests me in the Dis, there's two things actually that I want to mention. Is the double Yerk is actually very, very underrated in terms of getting some cards out of your hand and getting to those combo pieces. So you might be able to throw away some like useless Brobnar, like throw away like a War Grumpus or whatever. It just gets you out of some bad hands. And this can be done in combo with the other important card here, which is Hysteria. Hysteria is really, really nice with the Shadows, where you could potentially bring some of those rats back and then splash them to kind of recharge if you have a brand in hand that you're not able to knock out. Or you could exhume the brand and kind of bring it back. I don't know, there's a lot of like really sneaky options there that are mostly like game situation dependent, right? And then we'll finally move to the Brobnar here, which we've got a Grump Buggy deck here with not like a huge amount of effective power in this deck at all. So you're probably tossing that Grump Buggy. The Into the Fray, I guess you could use it in some kind of like Grumpus Foozle combo, or just, you know, use your Brens with Skirmish. The Brobnar feels relatively weak. That being said, double Smith when you're playing the Rat deck with any kind of board domination via the Rats, you can cash that in for a lot of Amber. But essentially, we've got a really, really tight Distant Shadows and a Brobnar kind of hanging along with a little bit of Sunning, a little bit of Amber generation. Moving to the matchup specifically, where are you calling it, Woody?
You know, it's interesting. I mean, I was looking at Svensson, and like the Bren play just sort of really sticks out. But it also is the case that needs a deck that's making a bunch of Amber, and this deck's only got 4 printed Amber. Both decks kind of want each other to generate so that they can like get their like reaction combo in. It does feel like the Plague Rats are kind of a great answer to this precise deck, because I think it wants to build a line and do a loot the bodies play, which like obviously gets turned off pretty immediately.
Well, yes and no. I mean, if you have the right hand and you've got those triple loot the bodies and you just Earthshaker away 5 rats,
right.
It's not even game over though, because I can steal so much. And I guess maybe that's where you're kind of getting at, is that I have answers to your board and I have answers to the Amber generation that you are able to do.
Yes, although it's funny because I think like the biggest play that could happen is that the Plague Rats are down, and then the Loot the Bodies Earthshaker play happens.
Sure.
But at that point, then what way do you have of killing the Brens? Because your Plague Rats are in your discard.
Life for a life.
Gotcha.
I've got Life for a life, and then I mean, I don't see a way in the other houses to kind of knock it. But the Brens, if I put them out, I'm fairly confident that I can kill them.
Well, and the thing is, they're gonna die either by the Plague Rats, the Life for Life, or the fact that I think Igor wants to kill them itself, like because it's gonna do the bodies play and stuff like that.
Sure.
I don't know if they play around it or like what happens. I mean, would you pitch an Earthshaker just so that you? Well, again, it depends. Like there could be a time where if you play the Brand and they're only at like 1 or 2 Amber, I would let you steal it just to get your Brand in your discard.
Yeah, no, I think that's always kind of the touchy thing with Brens, right? You kind of want to kill them while the Amber is low, and you're kind of setting up more situational responses. I do think you're right that you generating not a ton and kind of setting up these larger plays is actually somewhat to your advantage. Reaped Amber is a real threat with my deck. I guess with yours as well, but I feel like I have enough C. Whereas you're kind of, I mean, obviously you'll be trying to beat up my line, but if I do just get out some disc creatures, I could easily just reap. So I don't know. I kind of give the advantage here to Svensson personally, but I do see the potential I would never pitch the Earthshaker as you were talking about because it just gives you so much against the rats.
Yeah, no, you need to have it. I think
Yeah.
so much of this will depend on like when certain cards are drawn. Like
Yeah.
you really don't want to see the Brens too quickly, but they feel very kind of situational. You need to have other things ready when you do. Yeah, this is a matchup I'd be very curious to see how it happens. Yeah.
A final
I
note.
don't know if I lean one way or another.
Yeah, no, I think it is very 50-50. A final note to cover, though, is are there any mimicry targets that you're just very happy
Okay.
about?
Yeah, you do have 15 actions, which is a fair amount.
And I mean, for me, I think Hysteria could actually be like massive for a big anti-tempo play, actually, because like
they could go blood money on one of your Brens.
yeah, just kind of try to
It
cancel
evens
some of
it
that
out.
out.
Yeah.
Smith could be a big one.
Yeah. And obviously they could exhume stuff. I mean, routine job to steal one could be a thing. They could Hysteria at a bad time, but I don't even know what that would look like. It'd be like if only the Brens were out or something.
Yeah, Hysteria could be actually a very good response. Not, I mean, obviously you can like induce that kind of like rat rain, right? But if you're taking an untamed turn, and I mean you are taking an untamed turn because you're mimicrying, you're almost definitely trying to set up some of that Shadows Brobnar stuff. It might put you in a good situation. But to conclude on that, though, I think we are roughly 50-50. I give an edge to Svensson because I think it's more on offense, if that makes sense in this matchup.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. Like Ewer needs certain things to happen, and although it's funny enough, it is possible for this deck to kind of just sit and wait for you to do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like gonna make you play things before it goes for the the big play. Like this deck needs to reap to make Amber outside of the bait and switch and the urchins basically.
And I mean, and that's where I really think Svensson has this advantage here. It's like you need to reap to make Amber. I'm playing 5 Plague Rats.
Right.
And
it's
that's just
like a don't overthink it kind of thing.
Right. And I think that is really just to the advantage of AC regulars.
And we're back. So thank you for the great breakdown by the Swindle, as ever.
So Tezcat with 2 Plague Rats in hand ready to go straight away, but oh, bugger. Someone Umbra. I forgot I had to mess with the board a little bit because of the previous recording, but just slams up the hand. Umbra not really got anything to fight, no but steal.
Sorry for my printer beeping in the background. I am printing out the
I like the play of dropping the Brand into the routine job. It allows Tezcat to get up to 3 Amber. It's going to make it hard to deal with, but John with the Relentless Whispers into the Umbra, gets down this fence, gets down the Naughty Thief. We see there's answers for Naughty right there.
So
who's up to the Brand? You don't need to on rats, says Olamo.
I'd sit there and I'd challenge that to a degree. That
discards got the command. Discard the other Yerk to keep the rats. That's very interesting.
You may not need turn 1 rats, but turn 1 rats definitely helps.
We see a Grunt Buggy and a Smith in hand.
Smith, a card that's awesome when you pull it off, but until then is.
So this is going to be a reap Hysteria to basically to do a nice bit of disruption. Because Tezcat's now going to be able to drop pretty much his entire hand, as well as using Yerk to possibly discard the Grunt Buggy, knowing there's a big twig and Niffle Queen in hand. Ritual Bound Steel 1 takes Tezcat off the sleep, then mimicries the Hysteria to bounce everything back to hand. Down comes Big Twig, down comes Snufflegate, down comes Helicar, and then Niffle Queen boosting the rest of the board up by 1. Very nice. I don't know why a Big Twig is a beast. It clearly should be a
Twig.
tenant or whatever.
Twig.
So Tezcat going, bit of deja vu here, playing the exact same lineup that we've just seen. The Amber Imp is going to be an issue because whenever a creature reaps, it's going to become stunned. Keeping Tezcat off that key again. Oh, there's an Invidious Orb down, so the Ember Imp makes no difference. Using Niffle Queen to fight, uses Helicar to fight. Both have got skirmish because they're on the flank. Reaps up to 5, has evened out Amber control, has a complete block control. These double rituals doing a lot of work. Tree is a trait. This is true. I forgot Tantadilla made Tree a trait. Plays Plague Rat, and there's the Plague Rat Bren combo that we saw on the deck list. And only the Big Twig survives the purge.
And only just.
And with double Smith in hand though. Customs office, there's not really many artifacts left to come down. Defense. Oh. Do you play the Plague Rat just to get this Smith ready to go? Looks like that's where it's going to go. Reap. Get to 3. Play the Plague Rat. Routine job still on, yeah, that works. Steals an additional one because, the other Plague Rat was in there. Plays the Life for Life. Just get someone's to be on check for 6. Did draw a creature in Bramo. Plays Bait and Switch, takes a Tezcat off the check. Plays Dodger, and here we go. No one expects the Bromnar Amber Rush. Blood Money and Dodger. Plays Bramo. Tremor to stun the Dodger because the Dodger's going to be. We should just be able to steal off. Play that. But Double Smith, 6 Amber from 2 cards. Tezcat running away with this game. Complete play hand. Then we see an Exhume in hand with more Plague Rats. Oh, this is going to get nasty.
It always gets nasty.
As much as John would probably love to go into Untamed and just steal 2, has to play the Bromnar cards from hand.
Needs to get the board moving.
I like this. Uses Follow the Leader to unstun Dodger. Then uses Gauntlet Command, allowing it to attack the Plague Rat, stealing 1. The Earthshaker comes down, finishes off the Plague Rat, and then Smash comes down to stun the Bramo.
Still
Still going to be... Tremor comes down to stun the board back down.
Oh.
John is going to get this key, but now we see a Soul Keeper, Eater of the Dead, and double Exhume. This could get very nasty very quickly.
Could.
Will. Silver 2 comes down. John just desperately trying to race back up, get to that second key. If Tezcat can get to 7 here, he wins.
With that hand, definitely.
The double rituals in hand. No man needs to get 8.
Yeah.
Plays Exhume.
9 because of Dodger fighting, but yeah.
Well, no,
no, you're right, because you can't do that. Yeah, you know me, yeah.
Can't do both. Exhume Plague Rat, play the Exhume on the Plague Rat, and that gets to 8, and that's it. There's literally nothing. There's a Night Forge in hand, so even if there was a Miasma or some sort of capture, the Night Forge is the Plague Rat into the Night Forge would be huge. Steals 2.
Gets down to the 6.
Plays up the hand, but well played to Tezcat. Takes the win.
1-0.
I will, yes.